Alex's brother. Alex had a brother named David. They were very close. They grew up together in a small house. Every morning, they woke up early to have breakfast together. David liked to eat cereal and Alex liked toast. After breakfast, they walked to school together. They were always happy to be with each other. David and Alex loved playing football. Every day after school, they would play in the yard for hours. They would laugh, shout, and have fun. They both dreamed of becoming famous football players one day. They spent so much time together, and their bond was strong. One day, something terrible happened. David was walking home from school alone. It was a normal day, and Alex stayed at school for an extra class. Suddenly, there was an accident. A car hit David on the street. The car didn't stop. It was a very bad accident. People rushed to help, and an ambulance came quickly, but it was too late. David was taken to the hospital, but he didn't survive. When Alex heard the news, he couldn't believe it. He rushed to the hospital with his mother, but by the time they arrived, David had already passed away. Alex felt like his heart had broken. He cried for many days. He missed David so much, he didn't know how to live without him. It was the saddest time of Alex's life. Alex's mother was also devastated. She loved David more than anything. She couldn't stop crying. She stayed in her room all day, looking at old pictures of David. It felt like the whole house was dark and empty. There were no more football games, no more laughter, and no more fun. Everything had changed, and Alex didn't know how to fix it. Alex tried to help his mother, but he was also very sad. He wanted to make her smile, but it was difficult. He would sit beside her and hold her hand, but the sadness never seemed to go away. This was the beginning of a very hard time for Alex and his mother. They both missed David so much, and they didn't know how to live without him. It was the start of a long and difficult journey. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Alex and his mother were still very sad. They tried to go on with their lives, but it was hard. The house felt empty without David. Alex couldn't play football anymore. He didn't want to. Football reminded him of David. Every time he picked up a ball, he thought about his brother. He remembered how they used to play together and dream about their future. Alex's mother was also struggling. She didn't want to leave the house. She stayed in her room most of the time. Sometimes Alex would try to talk to her, but she didn't respond. She was always silent. Alex didn't know what to do. He felt lost. He wished he could bring David back, but he knew that wasn't possible. One day, Alex went to the park by himself. He sat on a bench, looking at the children playing. He felt very lonely. He missed David's smile and laugh. He remembered all the good times they had. Suddenly, a small boy ran up to him. The boy smiled and said, "Do you want to play with us?" Alex looked at the boy and felt a little better. He didn't want to forget David, but he also realized that he needed to keep going. Alex smiled back at the boy and nodded. "Okay, let's play," he said. For the first time in months, Alex felt like he could have fun again. He wasn't ready to forget David, but he was learning that it was okay to smile again. At home, Alex's mother was still very sad, but Alex tried to help her. He would make her tea and sit with her. Slowly, she started to talk more. She didn't talk about David much, but she started doing small things again. She She went to the kitchen to cook, and sometimes she even smiled at Alex. It was a small change, but it made Alex feel hopeful. Alex knew that it would take time for things to feel normal again. He didn't expect everything to go back to the way it was, but he started to understand that life would continue even without David. It was hard, but Alex and his mother were learning to live with their pain. As time passed, Alex and his mother began to find new ways to cope with their sadness. It was still hard, but they were starting to heal little by little. One day, Alex found an old football in the attic. It was dusty, but it reminded him of all the happy memories he had with David. Alex sat down on the floor and held the ball in his hands. He remembered the last game they played together. David had scored a goal and they had laughed so much. Alex couldn't help but smile as he thought about that moment. Alex's mother noticed him holding the ball and came over. She sat beside him and looked at the football. For a moment there was silence. Then she spoke softly. "David would want you to keep playing. He would want you to be happy." Alex looked at his mother, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a little peace. His mother was right. David wouldn't want him to be sad forever. Alex decided to try playing football again. He went outside and kicked the ball around in the yard. It felt strange at first, but as he kicked the ball higher and higher, he felt a sense of freedom. It wasn't the same without David, but it was something. He felt closer to his brother as he remembered all the games they played together. Meanwhile, his mother was beginning to leave the house more often. She started going for walks in the park and meeting her friends. She still missed David, but she was starting to live again. She was slowly finding happiness in the little things. She would tell Alex about her walks, and Alex would listen carefully. It made him happy to see his mother taking care of herself again. One afternoon, Alex sat down with his mother and said, "I think David would be proud of us." His mother nodded, tears in her eyes, but this time they were tears of peace, not pain. "Yes, I think he would be proud," she said. Alex realized that although they would always miss David, they could still move forward. They could still remember him with love and keep going one step at a time. Life had changed, but it didn't have to stop. As the months went by, Alex and his mother became stronger. They learned to live without David, but they never forgot him. Alex continued playing football, and sometimes when he scored a goal, he would look up at the sky and smile. It felt like David was there with him, cheering him on. He knew that David would want him to keep playing and to be happy. One day, Alex's mother surprised him. She told him that they were going to visit David's favorite place, the beach. David had always loved the ocean. He loved swimming in the water and collecting seashells. Alex and his mother hadn't been to the beach since David's death, but now they both felt ready to go. When they arrived at the beach, it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining and the waves were gentle. Alex and his mother stood by the water, feeling the cool breeze on their faces. Alex looked out at the ocean, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of peace. It was as if David was there, in the waves, in the wind, and in the sky. They spent the day at the beach, walking along the shore and collecting seashells, just like they used to do with David. Alex felt close to his brother again, and his mother smiled as she watched him. It was a healing moment for both of them. That evening, as they sat on the sand and watched the sunset, Alex said, "I miss David, but I think he's happy wherever he is." His mother nodded. Her eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling too. "Yes, I think he's at peace." From that day on, Alex and his mother found comfort in the small things. They knew that life would never be the same without David, but they also knew that they could still move forward. They could still find joy in the world around them, and they could carry David's memory with them forever. Alex learned that even in the darkest times there is always a way to heal. He had lost his brother, but he had gained the strength to live again. And his mother, though still missing her son, was starting to feel the joy of life once more. As time passed, Alex and his mother continued to grow stronger. They had learned to live without David, but his memory was always with them. Every year, on David's birthday, Alex and his mother would visit the beach. It became a tradition, a way to remember him and keep his spirit alive. They would sit by the water, talk about their favourite memories of David, and enjoy the peacefulness of the ocean. It was their way of keeping him close, even though he was no longer with them. One day, Alex received a letter in the mail. It was from his school. They had planned a football tournament, and Alex was invited to join the team. At first, Alex wasn't sure if he wanted to play. He hadn't played football seriously since David died. But then he remembered all the times David had encouraged him to keep going, to chase his dreams. He remembered how much David had loved the game. With a deep breath, Alex decided to join the team. He trained hard every day, practicing his skills and building his confidence. It wasn't easy, but he felt David's presence with him every step of the way. He could almost hear his brother's voice telling him to never give up. The day of the tournament arrived, and Alex was nervous but excited. His mother came to watch him play, just like she used to watch David. As Alex stood on the field, he felt a wave of emotion. He was nervous, but he also felt proud. He had worked so hard to get to this point. He knew that David would be proud of him too. The game was intense, but Alex played his best. He scored a goal for his team, and they won the tournament. As they celebrated, Alex looked up at the sky and whispered, "This one's for you, David." After the tournament, Alex's mother gave him a big hug. "You did it," she said. "David would be so proud of you." Alex smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment that he had never felt before. He had done it for himself, but also for David. In that moment, Alex realized that while life would always have its challenges, it was also full of opportunities. He had lost his brother, but he had gained the strength to keep moving forward. He had learned that love and memories could never be taken away. They were always with him, in his heart and in his actions. And so, Alex and his mother continued to live, finding joy in each new day and keeping David's memory alive in the things they did. Years passed and Alex grew older. He finished school, went to college, and eventually started his own life. But through it all, he never forgot David. The memories of his brother stayed with him, guiding him in the difficult times and inspiring him to live fully. Alex's mother, too, had found a new sense of peace. She had become involved in community work, helping others who were grieving. She often told Alex that helping others made her feel closer to David, as if she were carrying his kindness into the world. On David's birthday each year, Alex and his mother would still go to the beach. They would sit by the water and talk about the good times they had shared with him. It was a time of remembering, but also of healing. They had both come to understand that while their hearts would always have a place for David, they could also make room for new joys and experiences. One day, when Alex was in his 20s, he stood on the beach alone, looking out at the waves. He closed his eyes and remembered everything about David, his smile, his laugh, and the way he always believed in him. Alex whispered into the wind, "Thank you, David. I will always carry you with me." As Alex opened his eyes, he felt at peace. He knew that while life had brought him pain, it had also brought him love, strength, and the ability to move forward. He would never forget his brother, but he had learned to live without regret, finding happiness in the memories they shared and the life he was building. Alex's journey had not been easy, but it had been worth it. He had learned that even in the darkest moments there is always a way to heal, to grow, and to find light. And as he looked at the ocean one last time that day, Alex knew that David's spirit would always be with him in every step he took.